The following video is a collection of photographs of the Strahan family. The photocopying and narrative were done in 1995 by Thomas P Strahan, great-great-great-great-grandson of Samuel H Strahan Sr., who was a veteran in the Revolutionary War. We start in Flemingsburg, Kentucky, county seat of Fleming County, Kentucky, where the early Strahans lived. The New Hope Presbyterian church records in Fleming County provide much about the Strahan family. The church burned down many years ago. However, an overgrown cemetery still harbors many headstones, including that of George T Strahan, grandson of Samuel H Strahan Sr. Pictured in the cemetery near the headstone of George is my first son, Matthew Strahan, and John Strahan, a distant cousin from Columbus, Ohio. This photo is thought to be near the Strahan family homestead in Fleming. Still visible in the New Hope Church Cemetery are headstones for David N. Strahan, father of George T. Strahan. David's first wife, Sally, is listed on the same stone. David's second wife, Sarah, is buried nearby. George T. Strahan married Malinda Hunt, having 4 children in Kentucky before he died at the age of 32. His wife, Malinda, moved to Indiana, living near her father, Reverend Basil Hunt. She remarried in Randolph County, Indiana, to Nathan Garret, having several more children. This photograph is from the Randolph County History, published in 1882. Malinda and George T. Strahan's first son was Samuel Parker Strahan, great-grandson of Samuel H. Strahan Sr. and my great-grandfather. Samuel Parker Strahan married Mary Ann Hendricks in 1866 in Indiana. Their first son was Hendricks Pinckney Strahan, my grandfather, born in 1867. Their second son was Lauren Wildy Bill Strahan. Lulu Pearl Strahan was their third child, born in 1878. 2 more daughters died in infancy. The last child was Vern Lamont Strahan. Samuel Parker Strahan was noted in the county history account of Malinda as among the first to enlist in the Civil War from Randolph County. He was also noted as the first wounded in battle. He married a second time to Emma Pomeroy after Mary Ann Hendricks died in 1903. Sarah and Emma had no children. Samuel Parker Strahan is shown resting with his son Lauren Wildy Bill Strahan with the caption, "Two Honest Farmers." Samuel was truly active in the Grand Army of the Republic, an organization of men who served in the Civil War from the North. In this picture, Samuel Parker Strahan is in the center. This is a delegate pen from one of his meetings with the Grand Army of the Republic, 1925. This photo, he's on the far right side. Again, the far right side. This is Lauren Wildy Bill Strahan and his wife Lula Kirkin in their later years. This tintype is of Hendricks Pinckney Strahan when he was just a young boy. These photos appear to be a sequence taken at a carnival. They show he must have had a sense of humor. Hendricks married Mary Annie Tappan, my grandmother, in 1888. Mary Annie Tappan is just a baby in this photo with her parents Charles Tappan and Rhoda Pilgrim. This This is Grandma. This Mary Annie Tappan and her sister Nellie. Mary Ann was only 14 when she married my grandfather Hendricks. This Grandma. These are more photos of my grandmother. This is the youngest daughter, Jenny, and their granddaughter, Eva June English, are shown with them. It's Grandma and Grandpa. Grandma is shown with 3 daughters, left to right, Evelyn, Lynn, and Grandma and Annie. More pictures of Grandma is in the upper right. Here she is in the center, Grandpa on the left. I think this was taken in Minnesota. Nina and Fred lived up there. This is her grandmother, my grandmother's daughter, Nina. And I'm sure it was taken in Minnesota. Nina's on the right, Grandma's in the center. I'm not sure who the other one was. Grandpa taken in Independence. And that's their home in the background. This is Grandpa and his brother Vern Lamont Strahan Sr. and his son John Campbell Strahan, taken about 1942. This is Grandma and Grandpa with most of their family at the time. Uncle Oak is on the far right, Grandma and Grandpa on the left. Grandma with her daughters Lynn on the left and Nina on the right. This photo was taken with Mary Ann English, daughter of Lynn, and may be the last photo of Hendricks Pinckney Strahan before his death in 1947. Here, the other picture was with Nine's husband Fred, and these are their 3 granddaughters. Let's start back with this family photo was taken after Grandpa's death. Standing from left to right is Lynn, Nina, Annie, Evelyn, and Jenny. Seated is Oak, Park, Grandma, and my dad, Joe. In this photo on the left are my brothers Joe and Bob, and on the right is my sister Jane and Jenny's son Roger. I'm on the right sitting on the floor, and in the middle is Jenny's son Sam, and sitting on Oak's lap is one of Nina's granddaughters. Before displaying each of my aunt and uncle's photographs, let's go back to Grandma's family. Her mother, Rhoda Pilgrim, married Joseph Dillon after her first husband, Charles Edward Tappan, died. Rhoda and Joseph had no children. Rhoda Pilgrim's sister, Maggie, married Henry Feeback. These are pictures of Maggie. Grandma and her sister, Nellie Tappan, she married Ebenezer Maine. These are pictures of Nellie when she was younger. She's on the left in this photo. This is Nellie with her daughter, Frankie Main. And Nellie in her later years. This is my grandmother's brother, Otho Tappan. There are several photographs taken here showing him at different stages in his life. It's Otho with some of his grandchildren. This is Otho with his wife in later years. It's Grandma and Otho, and taken in 1945. This photo is of her other brother, Gary Tappan, taken in 1956 and later in his life. Now back to the Strahan family. Start with Uncle Oak on the left. He was born in Oklahoma, named Oklahoma Edward Strahan in 1889, the year of the first Oklahoma land rush. He joined the Navy in World War I, and he married Mary G. Irvin in Connecticut, and they had no children. Oak lived in Connecticut with his wife until after Mary's death in 1967. He moved to Missouri shortly thereafter and died in 1969. The second son is Uncle Park. Here he's shown with his brother Oak, and Park was born a twin in 1891, and his twin died shortly after birth. Uncle Park was named Samuel Parker Strahan after his grandfather. He must have gone to the same carnival as Grandpa. Uncle Park was a clown. In this photograph, he's on the left as a clown. He also joined the military. It's him on the far right. Uncle Park is second from the left. And the X at the feet denotes where he is. He was a detective, and he was a policeman. Here he is shown with Uncle Fred on the left, Nina's husband, and Uncle Park's first wife, Helen Spence. He was married 3 times, the last being Georgia Rogers, shown with Grandma in the center. They had no children. He had no children by any marriage. Aunt Lynn, she was born Mary Malinda Strahan in 1894. Her middle name was from her great-grandmother. However, later she changed her name to officially be called Lynn. Here Lynn is flanked by her sister Evelyn on the left and Annie on the right. And as these photographs will show, she did like to dress up. She met Roy Elwood English and married him and had their first child, Eva June English. Eva June. There's Eva June. And with his mother in the middle, Mary Whitehead. Uncle Roy was a policeman. He later worked in a repair shop. And here he is in a plumbing shop on the left. Eva June English was born in 1914. And here she is. She married Leo Seams. This photo was taken in their tropical fish shop in Brookside. Lynn and Roy's second child was Mary Anna English. She was born in 1921. She married Tom Flynn, and they had no children together. Mary Ann with her parents, Lynn and Roy, and Lynn and Roy with their family, June, Leo, Lynn and Roy in the center, Mary Ann and Tom. The next child of my grandparents was Nina Pearl Strahan, born in Perry, Oklahoma in 1897. She married Frederick Wilhelm Hansen Sr. and lived on a farm in Minnesota. Uncle Fred, he was a veterinarian. They had one child, Frederick Wilhelm Hansen Jr., born in 1917. Father and son, senior and junior. Fred Jr., he married Florence Marie Logan, having 3 daughters, Sharon Ann, Claudia Jo, and Anne Marie. Aunt Annie was named Anna Ermina Strahan, and she was born in 1900. And like her sisters, she liked to dress up. She's on the right in that photograph. I believe she's on the left in this photograph with her sisters. In 1919, she married Soren Christian Andersen, who was born in Denmark. Soren served in the United States military in World War I. He's the second on the right. He sent Aunt Annie many cards and mementos from France. They had no children. And Soren worked in construction most of his life. Aunt Annie on the right is 8 years old, and Aunt Evelyn on the left is 3. Aunt Evelyn was born Evelyn Miranda Strahan in 1904. Aunt Evelyn on the right, and her sister Lynn on the left. And Evelyn with her youngest brother Joe in the background. She married Ralph Daniel Webster, and their first child was Gloria Evelyn Webster. The second child was Nina Jeanette Webster. Gloria's on the left, Ralph, Evelyn, and then Jeanette. Gloria and Jeanette as young ladies. Gloria married Don Wallace Sr. having one son, Don Jr. This is Don Jr. This is Gloria and cousin Mary Ann. Jeanette married John Moyer, Jr. They had one child, Judith Evelyn Moyer, Judy and her cousin Don Wallace, Jr. Hendricks Pinckney, Jr. was born in 1907 and died less than 1 year old. The family was heartbroken. That is until Joseph David Strahan Sr. was born in 1909. My dad was born in Wichita, Kansas. Here he is shown with Jenny on the track. I'm sorry, the next picture. Jenny on the trike, and Evelyn is standing next. They show some of the toys of the time. with his mother, and
Fred Jr.
Here he is holding Fred Hansen Jr. He's the one standing. With his mother and sister Annie. Then he met Edna Ann Snow. Mom and Dad were married in 1930. There they're sitting with Dad's mother. Dad was in the Army in World War II, and this was after having 4 children. These were taken in Dayton, Ohio in 1945. This shows Mom, third from the right, with Dad's family and all the other girls. Mom and Aunt Annie, who is holding Joe Jr. Joe Jr. with his grandfather, Hendricks Strahan. Joseph David Strahan Jr. was born in 1932. Here he is with his sister, Jane. Edna Jane Strahan was born in 1934, and she's shown here with her brother Bob, younger brother Bob. Robert Pinckney Strahan was born in 1936, and then came along Thomas Parker Strahan in 42. He's the one being held by Jane. This shows Mom and Dad with all the kids. Jane and Joe and Tom on Dad's left and Bob standing in front. The last child of Hendricks and Mary Ann was Genevieve Slyvesta Strahan, born in 1912. Aunt Jenny met L Hale and married him in 1935. Their first son was Roger Norman Hale, born in 1936. The second son was Samuel Lawrence Hale, and he was born in 1946. Harold, Jenny, Roger, and Sam in front. And this concludes the Strahan family photos on video with a smile. Thank you for your interest.